Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Carl with Kappa Recovery. I'm a recovery coach here. Um, this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and well, it's about to be over with actually. So we got a couple more days in the month, but this was Mental Health Awareness Month, and today's topic is the link between depression and substance abuse. And this is from medicalnewstoday.com. So it goes to say, is there a link between depression and substance misuse? And it says, medical reviewed by Karen Jett by Caitlin Jeng on February 28th, 2022. Many people with depression or other mental health conditions are also affected by substance misuse. Substance use disorder, as a SUD, is a condition that affects a person's brain and behavior. It can cause an ability to control the use of substances like alcohol and drugs. Substance misuse can result in addiction, which means a person is not able to stop a behavior or stop using a particular substance. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, NIMH, about half of all people with SUD also have a mental health condition. See, there you go. That coexisting. Also have a mental health condition such as depression. While depression symptoms such as low mood and cause a person to misuse drugs and alcohol. SUD may also cause depression that can trigger brain changes that make a person more likely to develop a mental health condition. Read more to learn about the link between depression and substance misuse treatment options and recent research findings. So I was just talking about this earlier a little bit, like I think should be more facilities that are co-occurring. You know what I mean? Because a lot of them, they just my thing, they won't take certain people on certain medications, or they won't take them because of the mental illness aspect. You know what I mean? So I think a lot more things should be more co-occurring, because a lot of, if somebody's got addiction, they usually suffer from mental health. It's like a high percentage of, who's got both,
If they didn't have it, they do after.
Yeah. If you don't see, that's what we said. They have it before, or is it after? It changes for everyone, and I think it kind of matters, but it really don't, as long as you treat it. You know what I mean? So, if you don't have mental health before addiction, right, you definitely can create things in the brain to obtain and make up some mental health going on. Usually, because when you're using drugs and alcohol, you create a lot of stuff going on. A lot of guilt, a lot of shame, remorse.
There's a lot of depression for sure.
Yeah.
Even after getting clean, because you're dealing with everything that happened and you did during.
It takes time. It really does. It takes time, and it takes some professional help, therapy, counseling, sometimes medications. There's all routes of recovery. And it goes to say, what is the link? So it goes in to say, according to research, about half of the people who experience SUD also have mental health condition, co-occurring conditions may include. So they're saying right here, about half. Although substance misuse and mental health conditions frequently occur together, one does not necessarily cause the other. Experts suggest three possibilities that may explain the link. Goes on to substance misuse and brain changes. You want to read that one, Bailey?
Substance can cause changes to the brain structure and function. These changes can make people more likely to develop a mental health condition.
Yes.
So self-medication. Some people with mental health conditions may use alcohol or drugs to self-medicate. However, although certain drugs may temporarily relieve a person's symptoms, they can worsen them in the long term. Changes in the brain associated with mental health conditions may also increase the rewarding effects of some substances. This may make a person more likely to experience substance misuse.
Self-medication is always a big thing. Even with me, self-medication was one because I wanted to use, right? But another was a sense of self-medicating. The insanity of it is like, I did some horrible things, so I would use do some more horrible things and use some more.
To help you forget about
Yeah, so
it.
you're just recover. They're trying to cover what's going on with you. You're just getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and self-medicating is not the answer with mental health. Some people with mental health, self-medicate to not feel depression or anxiety or whatever the case may be, and so they think drugs and alcohol is a solution, which in the end, it's causing you more problems. It's causing you more mental health. It's deeper in your addiction and deeper in your mental illness.
It's like some people, like they have depression or anger issues, whatever it may be, and they give you medication to kind of wire you back to be like what you'd say, quote unquote, a normal person is. So the brain and everything already acts differently as it is. And then you take drugs and throw it on top of it compared to a normal person who didn't already have issues, it's gonna like affect them both completely different.
Oh yeah.
And
a lot of times we can it's dangerous to use drugs and alcohol and take medications for mental health. So you're using combinations of medicines and drugs and alcohol. That's when it's lethal as it is, but when you do a mixture,
right.
Yeah, you can really screw if you don't die, which it's really prevalent, very fatal, but it screws your chemicals and your balance. Like you're just some people are lost and never will come back.
No,
like,
yeah, they're never the same again.
Yeah, yep. So
you
have
just
to
tell like mentally they're just
not there.
Yeah.
I have a couple friends that I seen them at one time, then you see them years later. It's like you're not the same. You know what I mean?
Even getting clean at that point sometimes won't fix that.
No, you're we call it stuck. You know what I mean? You're stuck in that, and like there's no coming back. You know what I mean? And I've seen it, I experienced it. Like it's sad because you're like you're just burnt out.
Yeah.
And it goes to say common risk factors. Those at a higher risk of mental health conditions may also be at risk of substance misuse. There are shared risk factors, including environmental factors such as trauma and stress. Yes, there's the factors you're talking about, the trauma, the stress. There's things that happen in the past that you sometimes you don't have to be involved, like you participate in things happen to you or have you seen in your neighborhood or in your household. He talks about these traumas, man, that we grow up and they fester while we get older, and we resort to using drugs and alcohol, and it does cause sometimes PTSD, night terrors. There's a whole things that go on, and if you leave it untreated, that's another thing. That's why it gets worse and worse because you don't leave it untreated. So you're digging that hole deeper and deeper.
Masking it.
Yeah, you're masking it, and sometimes not masking or just leave it untreated and not dealing with it, and it just ends up in a bad way.
What's crazy? I looked ahead about that COVID-19 thing.
Yeah.
That was the height of my addiction.
Yeah.
We got locked in, couldn't go nowhere, do nothing, and it wasn't just me. I see multiple people. Like,
yep.
It was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I'm not gonna say it's just common sense, but like things happen like that, that's major. That's very serious things. So you're going to see a spike of mental illness, people using, people going back out from being clean and going out to using.
That's what it was. Like we didn't clean up very long, so everyone counted as clean. But like we were still living our normal life, so we weren't using 24/7, and we got locked down. What else was there to do?
Right.
But get high.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like the only time you ever left the house was to get something, or there's people walking up to our windows. Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
The world we lived in. But people still went out for that. They didn't go out for nothing else.
Oh yeah. Well, that's part of addiction. Yeah. Listen, I want high water or snow or there's things. The world can be ending, and I'm going out. So I get it.
Crazy.
You want to talk about the recent research findings?
So during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, the number of people living with mental health conditions and rates of substance misuse increased. As a result, much of the recent research into depression and SUD considers COVID-19 as a factor. One study found that adults, especially young adults, reported considerably elevated rates of mental health conditions during 2020. Levels of suicidal ideation
Yep,
and
obviously.
substance misuse also increased. The increased reports of substance misuse demonstrate the harm communities experience as an indirect result of COVID-19. According to the American Medical Association, every state in the United States reported a spike or increase in overdose deaths or other problems during the pandemic. The increase in deaths may be related to more people seeking drugs, such as fentanyl, as a form of self-medication for mental health conditions. Another study from 2020 also found that COVID-19 directly relates to an increased risk of psychiatric disorders.
Mhm.
It suggests that almost 6% of the diagnosed with COVID-19 will go on to develop a psychiatric disorder that they did not have before. According to, what was that?
I said, check that out.
Yeah, that's crazy because I had it, my kids had it.
And this, this
I
is
hope
just
that's
in the
not true.
article of COVID-19. But that's sign up can cause mental illness, that isolation, that
Yeah.
trauma, that it scared the shit out of me when I first got it because nobody knew of the severity of it. I didn't when it first started. You know what I mean?
I didn't either. I took it as a joke. I'm not even gonna lie.
Well, you heard people getting it and dying.
Mhm.
Right? So that's all I knew at the time was in the beginning. When I got it, I'm like, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna, I'm getting it and I'm dying. You know what I mean? It scared, it really, it really put a damper on me, man. It
Do you
really did.
remember in the beginning when they had lists? This is how I found out one of my friends overdosed. They had lists in the beginning of names for unclean bodies. All the people that were dying so fast.
Mm-hmm.
That's what made it sit in for me. How like real everything was, and that was so scary and so sad.
Yeah.
And I saw my friend's name on the list. It was a friend of me, my baby dad's, and it was. I can't even put into words how that felt and how scary that was.
Yeah.
And it felt like we were in a really fucked up movie. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that was insane. I was like, this is really life
This
right
is,
now.
yeah, it was crazy, man. It was like, because especially in the beginning, we didn't know too much about it. Everybody was like getting it. There were people were getting hospitalized, and it was, man, it tore me up. It did some trauma to me. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's crazy too. I had a kid in 2019, June 2019. So he grew up in the pandemic as a baby for the first month. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's crazy to see the difference from how like he's fine now, but the isolation of a child growing into that for the first couple of years.
Yep.
Compared to all the other kids and my oldest kid and my youngest, it's insane
It's
how much it
different,
affected
for
even
sure.
a little kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you
He's
think
never
about
around
it,
other kids
you're
his
locking
age.
somebody up for a period of time, even as a human being, then you're putting them out in the world.
Right.
Or it's a lot different.
He didn't know how to act for a very long time.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
other kids, he didn't know how to act, and everyone thought I had this crazy out of control kid. I was like, you understand?
And that's
Never been around
trauma.
a
That
while.
could be part of, not, I'm gonna say mental illness, but like that's part of like, not being like the what do you want to call it?
The trauma.
Impact. The
I was
impact of just the isolation part is
It
that.
wasn't much different than being like, kidnapped or whatever. If you're saying being held captive, he was fat just like people were held captive. You know what I mean? He was not allowed out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Yes, he was taken care of and like treated good, but like
Yeah.
I feel like it's not that far from when someone's being held like in the basement or
Yeah,
something.
it's
You know what I mean? Like that's
Almost.
crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
So like no wonder it had all this effect on people mentally and like you know what I mean? Because they're still being held against their will. Like no one would have to stay
That's
in the house.
environmental. We always talk about that in some of these articles. The environment of what causes your addiction or your mental health. That's just that one part. Your just environment. You know what I mean? Plays a big, a huge part on your mental health and your substance use. And I think I'll read some of it. It says, according to the CDC, 13% of U.S. adults reported starting or increasing their substance use to cope with stress or emotions related to COVID-19. Check that out. See? And it goes to say symptoms and depression and substance misuse. Depression symptoms can differ from person to person. However, common symptoms may include hopelessness, feeling of guilt, lack of interest or activities, changes in appetite and sleep, lack of concentration, suicidal thoughts, physical aches and pains, feeling agitated, and less physical activity. Symptoms of substance misuse always vary depending on the person, their existing mental health conditions, and the substance they are using. Very true. Continued use of substance can negatively affect a person's health and personal life, causing impaired daily functioning, such as skipping hygiene routines, decreased physical health, such as sudden weight loss or interrupted sleep, financial strain, mood swings, decreased, de- decreased participation in hobbies, increased isolation, and reduced social interaction. Typically, people experiencing substance misuse also have one or more of addiction. Criteria outlined by diagnostic and sat, sat, I don't know how to say that one. Statistical manual on mental disorders, 5th edition DSM-5. This includes strong urges or cravings to use substance, withdrawal symptoms when stopping the use of substance, repeated failed attempts to stop or control substance use, a tolerance to substance, using substance in larger amounts for longer periods of time than intended. Oh, yeah. So this gives you some of the things that it says skipping hygiene, financial strain, mood swings, lost appetite. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of symptoms that come with addiction and mental health. There's things that we lack in, or put to the side, or don't worry about, don't care about. It's all like focused on the mental health or the addiction part. You know what I mean? So we abandon a lot of things, even ourselves. You know what I mean? And it's sad. We get lost and confused. I always say we get lost in the sauce. You know what I mean? And it goes on to go to diagnosis. You want to read that one, Bailey?
To diagnose SUD, a licensed health and mental health professional must identify a person as having one or more of the 11 criteria outlined. If a person meets 1 to 2 criteria, doctors consider them to have a mild SUD. Their condition is moderate if they meet 3 to 5 criteria and severe if they meet 6 or more. According to the NAMI, for a mental health professional or doctor to diagnose a person with depression, they must have experienced a depressive episode that lasted longer than 2 weeks and include symptoms such as suicidal intentions and thoughts, loss of pleasure or interest in activities, fatigue, change in weight or appetite, feelings of guilt or low self-worth, sleep disturbances, feeling slow or agitated, difficulty making decisions or concentrating. If a person has symptoms of both SUD and depression, a doctor may diagnose them with those conditions at the same time. However, other people will receive the diagnosis separately. It's crazy because a lot of those are exactly the same, just worded differently.
Yeah, they all correlate together. And I was just, when you were reading them, I was thinking when I was in addiction and wrapped up. And yeah, I check off all these, so
At some point.
yeah. And like I can say that my sleep, I don't get that, I wake up in the middle of the night a couple times, but I go back to sleep. But other than that, I don't have any of these anymore, So it's like you really can change, you know what I mean, when you put the drugs and alcohol down and your mental health, and when you treat it, I would always be an addict, and if I always will have mental health aspects, but as long as I treat them in a proper way and a professional way and get the help that I need, where I can live a somewhat productive life, so it is possible. And it talks about treatments here. So let's see what's up with these treatments. Says treatments. A mental health professional will generally treat a person's SUD and depression together. Very important. As symptoms of the conditions may overlap, so will the treatments. Certain medications and therapies can treat both SUD and depression, and treating the conditions simultaneously may be more effective. A doctor should tailor a treatment plan to person-specific conditions and symptoms treatments may include. So I like how this, it's basically making up a treatment plan, because everybody's treatment plan can be different. Some people might not need medications, some people might not, some people might need multiple medications, some need therapy, counseling. You gotta find what works for you. That's why you have professional help. I try to do it on my own, do my own treatment plan, and I usually went back out and used, so I needed some therapy, counseling. I do a 12-step fellowship. I do have like a mentor in my life, a sponsor, and I need some guidance. I needed some help. Especially I'm an addict, right? I'm a recovering addict. I have some mental illness, and I need help. So, there's always everybody's got to have some type of treatment plan. Basically a support group, whatever you want to call it. There's all different pathways of recovery. You gotta have to find what's good for you. And it goes on to go to behavioral therapy. You want me to read that one? Okay.
It says one popular opinion is cognitive behavioral therapy. This is a form of talk therapy where the mental health professionals aim to help a person learn new ways to cope with difficult situations by challenging irrational thoughts and changing existing behaviors. If a person has SUD, a doctor may prescribe medication specific to the type of substance they misuse. These can include methadone, something.
I can't really pronounce it.
Another one.
Buprenorphine or something like that. It's Suboxone.
Naltrexone.
Yep, naltrexone.
For opioid use disorder, and these are big words.
Naltrexone. Yeah. They are some big ones.
Yeah.
So it's methadone, Suboxone, and that nature for that, yeah. All right. So it goes on for the support. So let's see, support. While treatments and medications can help people with depression and SUD, living with either one of both of these conditions can be difficult. People may find it useful to seek help from organizations and support groups. Some options include, these are just some of them, the National Institute of Mental Illness, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, the Crisis Text Line, Dual Recovery Anonymous, which offers 12-step meetings across the world for people affected by substance use and mental health disorders, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Smart Recovery, Women for Sobriety. So these are so many things that this IP has here, and there's many more. And it says the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration also offers a behavioral health treatment services locator to help find mental health, substance abuse health treatment facilities and programs across the U.S. So there's all kinds of support. There's so many treatment facilities, therapies, counselors in all counties, all over the world. So it's not like you can't get help anywhere. You know what I mean? You have to seek it, you have to find it, and it's out there. So wherever you're at, you know what I mean, there's always help. I'm here, I'm a recovery coach here at Cap Recovery. We're located in Bridgeton, 72 North Pearl Street. Because I always needed support. I always needed help. Till the day I die, I need help. So if you want to knock it off with the summary, Bailey, if that's okay.
So about half of all people who experience substance misuse also have a mental health condition, such as depression. Although there is a link between the two, one does not necessarily cause the other. Recent research focuses heavily on the increase in both mental health conditions and substance misuse due to factors related to the COVID-19 pandemic. While living with these conditions can be difficult, a doctor can recommend treatments, including medication, therapy, or both.
Yep.
That's crazy. Half is a lot.
That's just a probably estimate. You can't get a
Right.
direct number, but like,
And
I
like,
guarantee it's, just my opinion, I think it's probably even more than half.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
100% agree.
You can't use drugs and alcohol and put these poisons in your body and not come out or create mental illness.
That's what I'm saying. If you didn't have it going in, you definitely, almost every single person I've seen, whether they showed it or not, like, at the 9 times out of 10, at least somewhat depressed or whatever, even just going through getting clean, because you got to deal with all the outcome and the end result of all the shit you did. And,
Do you agree
know
with
what I
this?
mean?
That like different drugs cause different like mental illness? Like more like
Well,
not it can, that's what I'm saying. Not always.
I 100% acted different when I did 2 different drugs.
Yes.
I had to, so I don't see why I wouldn't. You know
Yeah,
what
so
I mean?
I think like crack cocaine, meth, and all that stuff can put you in like psychosis, schizophrenia and stuff like
Right,
that.
right, yeah. Because
You're
up
more
for so
prone
long,
to that.
Literally seeing things
To
that-
like fentanyl and heroin, you can come off that and be more depressed and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I think it changes for everybody because everybody's
Right.
different, but like the numbers or like how you want to put, an aspect on it, like, it says in some of the literature too, it says like, certain drugs cause more of this kind of mental illness,
Mhm. Look at what they have to go through alone just to get clean. Someone who's using Joe compared to someone who's using meth or crack.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if they're sick, they have to fight to get clean, just to get through that one part. And
Oh,
how many
yeah.
people don't even make it through that?
yeah,
But
it's
when
tough.
you use the other stuff, you sleep and then you eat a bunch and then you're fine as long as you just decide
The
not to pick it up
detox,
again.
like I said,
Yeah.
it's different for the detox process. All different drugs. You know what I mean? It's like I said earlier, that the combinations of drugs and alcohol.
I couldn't
You know what I mean? It's terrible, man. Your body's not meant to consume, drugs and alcohol like that. You know what I mean? And I was taking lethal doses. I always say to put down an elephant. Like sometimes I wrap my head around it. Like, how did I take so much?
Right.
It's-
How are
it's-
you walking right now?
Yeah, it's only a matter of time that, if I don't die, that, mental health does arrive, physical health, goes, yeah,
I feel like you only have so many options. If you don't end up ever putting it down, your life's gonna go like one of 3 ways, and none of them are good.
yeah,
At
yeah,
all.
yep, I agree. So this is, it was our family meeting for the day, and, so if you guys need any help, recovery coach here, Capital Recovery, you're more than welcome to come in. Like I said, month is about over with, and it was Mental Health Awareness Month. And the color, usually it was orange that I heard. It was orange. I think what we did with alcohol awareness was purple. So there are certain colors for certain things. So if you get a chance, wear some orange. Until next time, I'm Paul with Capital Recovery. I'll see you guys later.